Hello, my name is Tim Burden, and it is January 5th, 2019. And this video is on 432 and the frequency spectrum, currently most commonly known as the electromagnetic spectrum. I'm calling it frequency spectrum. And this, just forget this data right here for a second, but please concentrate on this data right here minus this. This big block of data here is the current electromagnetic spectrum, including sound. And that's why I'm calling it frequency spectrum, because sound is included in this spectrum here. And all these numbers, the main thing that I want to show here is that I've got these grouped in octaves of 10. There's 10 octaves right here. There's 10 octaves here, 10, 10, 10, 10. And that's what I'm trying to get across here, is that, like in other videos, I've shown that the 369 code and the harmonies and the music spectrum and the color spectrum are all grouped and categorized, and they have characteristics that show that, it's a design. Well, it's the same here. Sound has 10 octaves of the 432 in it, and radio has 10 octaves, microwaves has 10 octaves, infrared has 10 octaves. Okay, infrared, color, and UV is in this slot here, but I believe that this is all just color. It's just that we can't detect this range and this range here. I'm not saying that definitely color goes all the way out. I'm just saying that from what I've seen, or from what I've gathered over a couple of months of data, is that I don't believe that infrared goes to here, then color's here, and then UV goes to here. I believe that color is represented, like sound is represented by these 10. I believe that color is represented by these 10. Just like radio, microwave, infrared, color, X-rays, gamma rays. So, a couple of aspects of this data here, these numbers, it starts off with a 2-digit number, 27 hertz. This is the sound range. The sound range goes past this, almost up to here. And that's the current data that's on the internet, is that sound goes from about 20 hertz to about 20,000 hertz. So that's what this data is showing here. But when they show the electromagnetic spectrum, they start off at radio. They leave sound out. Why? Who knows? But I mean, I could do a video on that, but I'm not going to waste my time. But anyways, what I want you to notice here is that in the groups of 10, we've got 27 hertz to this, but it actually goes, sound and radio. I don't know exactly where sound ends and where radio starts. All I'm showing is that this group of 10 is a heck of a lot more compatible with the other data that I'm showing, with color and sound and harmonies and all that, 369 code. This data here is very compatible with what I've been showing, where there's a pattern. This is a pattern. 10, 10, 10, 10. It's all a pattern. And when I first found this data, I didn't want it to be a 10. I wanted it to be a 9 or a 6 or a 3, but it's not. It's a 10. So I'm leaving it as 10. And like I was saying, sound ends somewhere and radio begins somewhere. So on the internet, they say that radio starts off at about 30,000 hertz. They say that microwave starts out about 30 million hertz. They say on the internet, most of the data says that infrared starts off at 30 billion hertz. And we'll skip this for a second, and X-rays, so on and so forth. It's all around 30. So up here, my data and the internet's data, coincides. So again, I just want you to look at this block of data and see that there is chunks of 10 data. And the other thing is the numbers themselves. So we've got 2-digit numbers, 3 digits, 4 digits, 5 digits, 6 digits, 7 digits. Okay, when I get up to microwaves, 8-digit numbers, that's what this is right here. So it's 2 digits plus 6 is 8-digit number. 8, 8, 8, 8, 8, 8. And then it goes to a 10-digit number. So this is 1 billion. I think that's right, 1 billion. Okay, we get up to here, and this is 1 trillion. Okay, and that coincides with the color. We know, I already know, or I've already showed in another video, that color, you know, it's in the 400 trillion to the 770 trillion range. There's color right there. Okay, so what is this gold box rectangle doing surrounding these numbers? Well, all I'm trying to point out is here's the 432 frequency that I haven't figured out how to explain why 432 is not responsible, why it's a main component of all the data that I'm seeing and I'm showing. But right here, this points out that here's the 432. It's right in the middle of the sound spectrum. Actually, my last video was just on the color spectrum, but it shows 12 colors. And the 12 colors just sit right here, and there's data in between here and this next number, and there's data in between here and this next number. Like I've already said, I believe that this entire thing is related to the color spectrum. I can't prove that. That's pure speculation. But on the internet, the current information that's provided says that infrared goes all the way to here. Then there's the color spectrum, and then ultraviolet goes from here to here. I don't believe that just because we see sound, radio, microwave, infrared. I say that infrared cuts off here, color starts here, and I believe that UV is actually color that we can't detect. Not humans can't detect it, but that doesn't mean like a bat can't detect it, or you know, some other life form on this planet can't detect it. I'm just saying humans just detect this range right here. It's just like sound. You know, humans detect from about here to about here, but humans really only use right in here. You know, all the music, your voice, everything's right in just these, right in this little, you know, 3 octave range here. That's humans mostly use, but we can detect, you know, down to 27, and we can detect when they do those ear tests on you. You know, humans can detect up to here, but we don't use that. We just use this range here. It's just like color. We just use this range here, and it, you know, gets the job done. That's all you want. So that pretty well covers this chunk of data. Just remember that it's showing patterns. Patterns mean design. Patterns mean that we're in a construct, a realm, whatever you want to call it, and the realm that we're in has a pattern to the frequencies that show up in all these categories. So one of the questions before I get into the senses is, you know, is there data over here? What's up here? What's a number 8? You know, 71 to 80. You know, is there data there? I'm 100% positive there is, but of course there's nothing on the internet about what's past this. You know, you read up on gamma rays. Well, they penetrate anything. X-rays, they penetrate the body to allow us to give a 3D representation of an organ. You know, the color, UV color. They say UV's, you know, damages the skin, whatever. Infrared's bounces off. Infrared is like I think bats, you know, bounces off and it comes back to a detectable mechanism that interprets a heat signature on a body. You know, what I'm saying is there's so much more to what we know about all of this. Microwaves, you can heat up food with it, whatever. Like, radio is a cool one, because radio, you can send a song from one place to another. You can send a song from wherever to people's cars, and then the song actually rides on the radio wave, the frequency that's being sent out omnidirectionally. You can send a song with and that's why radio is so popular. You can send a song, but most people don't understand that it's frequency. It's frequency. It's just frequency. And then there's sound. So sound is just as legitimate as this. It just means that up the scale, there's more data and a higher frequency and a higher energy the farther up the spectrum you go. The higher the frequency, the more data and information and energy there is attached to it. So now the last thing on this clip is the senses, the human senses. So in this data here, there's 2 senses shown that we know of that include hearing and seeing. So our ears detect this frequency here and produce hearing. Our eyes detect this frequency right in here. There's 12. There's more than 12. It's a frequency spectrum in itself that your eyes detect this frequency in here and allow you to see colors. So that means that the senses are now tied directly into the frequency spectrum. So that's all I'm trying to show in this first clip here, is that the senses are tied into the frequency spectrum. And I did not want to go here. I did not want to get into the senses and hearing and ears and all that stuff, because it's just, there's so much data. It's okay. So in this first clip here, we've got the human senses. Now we've got 2 boxes of data here, and the first box is these chunks of data are separated because in the first box we've got hearing and seeing. We know what parts of the body detect the frequencies, but we also know the frequencies themselves. We know, the most common data that's out on the internet is 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz is the human hearing range. And I'm fine with that. That lines up with the data I'm showing. I'm just showing 27 here because that's where radio waves I'm showing start. But I'm good with 20 to 20,000 hertz. Seeing, I just did a video on a color, and what I showed, and this also complies with the data that's out on the internet, is that 400 trillion hertz to 770 trillion hertz is where humans detect color. But the cool thing is that I showed on my last video that when consciousness goes up, I believe that we're going to be able to see a larger range, and we could be able to see down the range a bit. But I know for sure that we're going to be able to see up the range a bit. But whatever, that's here nor there. I don't want to get into this too much. This is the senses. So we got hearing and seeing. So this next block of data is the difference between this block of data and this block of data is that we don't know what the frequency of smelling, touch, and taste is. And, it was driving me crazy there for a while, but I'm okay now. But so we've got smelling, touch, and taste, nose, skin, and tongue. I don't know if that's the correct spelling for tongue. I hope it is. If it's not, sorry. Smelling with your nose, touch, skin, taste, tongue. Okay, but we don't know the frequencies of, the scent is a frequency. I'm sure of it. We don't really talk about this a lot, but frequency is everything. So your nose detects a frequency, and then you attach that to a different smell. Okay, it's the same with touch. You touch something, and it's a frequency. It's hot or cold, whatever. It's a frequency. Same with taste. Your tongue detects a frequency, and then it produces a taste, and you either like it or you don't like it, or you're neutral to it or whatever. But so the first part of this clip here is just on the common senses that we use, but I'm just driving it home that it's frequency that produces all of these senses. It's frequency. These senses are all attached to frequencies. So the question with this is, where are these on that where are these frequencies on the frequency spectrum that I just showed you guys? Where are they? I don't know. And that's one of the questions. So there's a task for you guys right there. What frequencies are we using when we smell, touch, and taste? We know seeing and hearing, but we don't know the frequencies because I would love to be able to put those on that frequency spectrum that I was showing. I would just love to map these out and go, wow, here we go. Because it doesn't stop here. This is just the beginning. I learned recently, like in the last 72 hours, that there's 20 different senses. So we're only touching on 5 of them now. Okay. We're still on the human senses here, and we've already established that the difference between this and this is that you hear with your ears and you know the frequency. You see with your eyes, you know the frequency. But when you smell with your nose, you don't know what frequency it is. Same with touch and same with taste. Now, we get down to the heart. Okay. I would imagine that 99.9% of all the people watching this video think that the heart pumps your blood. But I am going to say that this, not only is this one of the senses, but it's also more than one sense. So, and again, I'm not going to get into this stuff. I wanted to do a video on the frequency spectrum. I did not want to get into this, like senses. That's not my thing. But because the senses are directly related to human experience, and that's the key. That's the key word, is experience. Because here's the thing. When you hear some music and it makes you happy or sad, what's making it happy or sad? I'm saying the heart is what makes it happy or sad. So the heart is in combination with the hearing, and your heart sense is giving you a feeling emotional experience with what you're hearing. So it's the heart that does it. It's the same with seeing. You see a good movie, it brings you to tears or makes you feel like $1,000,000. It's the heart. The heart is in combination with these, and I think these are all I know these are all in combination with each other. You hear something and you're looking at it, and then your heart gives you a thumbs up or a thumbs down or a neutral feeling on it, and that's how it works. But it's just amazing. It's just amazing. Now, moving on. So we know that hearing is probably just 1 sense, 2 cents, 3 cents, 4 cents, 5 cents. When we get up to the heart, I believe there's at least 3 different senses with the heart. And I'm just going to go positive, neutral, and negative. And what I mean is positive, like I said, you hear some nice music, it's a positive experience, but it's your heart that is giving you that determination. So, a neutral experience would be you hear some music, it's not good, it's not bad, whatever. It's just a neutral experience, but it's your heart that makes that determination. You hear some music and it's I'm not gonna go where I shouldn't hear, but you hear some music and you don't like it. Well, it's your heart that's making that determination. So again, it's all about experience. these 6 things, and if there's 3 here, let's say there's 3 here, so you've got a total of 6, 7, 8. You've got eight senses that can detect frequency, convert it into an emotional feeling that provides an experience. So, human senses comes down to human experiencing. And there's 8 right there. So now we get down to the third eye psychic abilities. Now, I don't consider myself a psychic. I don't consider myself, that. I think that all people have the same roughly the same abilities to use their third eye psychic abilities. I believe that all people, just like the heart, what we do is we close our heart off so that we can't fully express ourselves, or we can't fully express ourselves to our loved ones, on and on, whatever. So we close off our heart. Well, I think it's the same thing with the third eye psychic abilities. You've closed them off. And, we don't even talk about this stuff. We don't even believe in it, let alone, but it's the same thing. Anything that you want to, when you're a child, your hearing isn't all that great. You're seeing, smelling, touch, taste. It's not all that great, but over the years, you get up to about 30 and all this stuff is just peaking. All this stuff is just amazing, because you've worked on it for 30 years. Well, it's the same with the heart and the third eye. Once you realize you've got these abilities, these senses, and I believe there's 20 of them, you start working on them. You start working on them and you hone them, you hone your skills. So and I believe that the third, so if the heart is 3 and that adds up to 8, I believe there's 20 senses. So then that means there's got to be, up to 12 third eye psychic abilities. That's all I'm saying. I don't know that. I'm just, that's speculation, but I believe there's 20 senses. So this is a good way to show that, well, there could be. So the question is, and before I end that segment, they're all frequencies. Everything is frequency. Any senses that you detect are frequencies. Okay? All the psychic stuff is frequency. All the heart stuff, frequency. All smelling, touch, and taste, frequency. On and on. Okay. So here's the question. Here's the big question. What is behind it all? What is taking this frequency? Your ears are taking the frequency and converting it into an experience. But what is the overall mechanism that is in charge of it all? And so here's the thing, and this is why the only reason I wanted to go down this path was because consciousness. Now, most people are going to say the brain. The brain is, in charge of it all, and it's the computer operating system that does it all. I don't disagree with that, but I'd rather use consciousness as the term to define what's going on, because I believe consciousness is a better definition. I believe the brain is part of it, but I believe that there's an unseen part that is a better representation of what's actually taking place. And I'm not going to get into this, but all I want to point out of this whole thing is that if I believe everything's frequency, and everything's frequency that's just converted into something we understand and something that allows us to experience something. So consciousness itself, I believe, is a frequency. So if consciousness is a frequency, that means a frequency is detecting lower frequencies and then converting it into the experience that we're having. So again, I say it's speculation, but the whole thing is this is how many videos is this if you want to expand? You could just take hearing, and do a video on that. You could take, if there's 20 senses, you could do 20 videos easily. And I just want to talk about frequency. But I think this is a good start to look. Okay, in this last chunk of data, in this last clip here, what I've done is I've categorized all the frequency spectrum is right here, plus the gamma rays. But then I've added to what I believe. I did this in another video. What I did was I showed music and how music could be shown in an easier to understand way than it currently is. We use A, B, C, C sharp, and all that stuff. So in a previous video, I've shown that you can take the music spectrum and you can show it with numbers instead of letters and that kind of stuff, and it would more easily teach people how to view music. So that's all I'm doing here is this is speculation again, but it's a good way to look at the frequency spectrum when it comes to the human senses. So what we've got sound with your hearing in your ears right here. Then we go up to color, where our eyes come in right here. Eyes, seeing, color. Okay. And then we get all the way to number 8 here. And remember, these numbers are, this is a 23-digit number. This is 32. I don't even know what to call this number, 21. But you go all the way up to here and you've got 36. This is a 37-digit number right here. 38-digit number right here. Okay, and the whole thing is to show that consciousness is probably the highest frequency. I'm sure of it, but I can't say definitely because I don't even know what frequency smell, touch, and taste is, let alone consciousness. So what I'm showing here is that if you look at hearing and sight in the sound frequency and in the color frequency, you're going up in the frequencies. Well, smell, touch, and taste is somewhere in there. I'm positive of that smell, touch, and taste and heart and third eye psychic abilities is in here. Now, smell, touch, and taste could be in here. Could be in here, could be in here, could be in here. I don't know. So that's why I'm putting it here. I'm just putting it outside of the range that we already know of. But if you notice one thing, you'll notice that I've got it in sixes, two sets of sixes, just like an octave, where consciousness is the octave. So, but I'm not, nothing's set in stone here. Smell, touch, and taste could be in here somewhere, just like color is, just like sound and color is. Like look at where color is. Color's neatly placed, right in the middle of this this 10 number octave. So I'm saying smell, touch, and taste could be in here, heart could be in here, third eye could be in here. But again, I'm just trying to show you that it's probably smell, touch, and taste. Are they up past gamma rays? I don't know, but I wouldn't doubt it if heart, third eye, and psychic abilities are, and consciousness is up past gamma rays. Why? Because, and before I forget, what I left out of the last video was at the speed at which consciousness converts all of this into an experience. Okay, I left that out, and I just want to make sure I get that in there, that the speed at which consciousness takes all this data and converts it into either hearing, seeing, smell, touch, taste, heart, third eye, psychic abilities, the speed at which consciousness does that, or your brain, or whatever you want to say, is instantaneous. There's no lag. There's no what do you call it, when a computer crashes? There's no crashes. I mean, I'm sure humans have crashed, but most humans, there's no lag, there's no crashing, there's no delay. It's all instantaneous. And I wanted to make sure that I pointed that out, because there's, we think we're so smart, but we're not. I mean, this is just the beginning of this is just the beginning. This is less than 1% of what I'm showing is less than 1%. It could be less than 0.01% of the data that's going to come out about this stuff. Like consciousness itself, when I'm saying that consciousness is the facilitator, the operating system behind all of this, it happens instantaneously. It's not at the speed of light. It's not anything like that. Like, it's instantaneous, and there's no, that's why it's so cool to be in a human body, and then to realize all this. Once we start using this stuff, it's going to be amazing. Once people realize that their heart is an actual, is actually detecting frequency and then giving us an emotional response to those frequencies, and then that provides an experience, good, bad, or negative, good, neutral, or negative. So anyways, I think I've covered it all, and thank you.